Look at this. I got headphones on. I got a mic going. Baby.
If
Huh?
only people could see you now.
Hey, no video. We've gone through this before.
All right,
No
all right,
video.
all right. Welcome to This Commerce Life. This is a podcast aimed at small, medium entrepreneurs focused on commerce. I'm Phil, your host, and Kenny, your co-host, will join us as well. And we're going to talk to you about the world of retail and commerce and how things are changing in the world.
Well, hello.
How are you?
Good, you guys. It's like 10 o'clock at night here on the East Coast.
It is. Hey, I'm East Coast too. I'm Toronto.
Oh, I love that.
I'm with you. Oh yeah, I'm with you. You got the good time too. Just so you know. Normally it's 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I still made a double decaf latte. I think it just does this like thing in my brain where I'm like, okay,
clears a bit of fog, it's kind of tasty, it's comforting, yeah. Makes me want to go upstairs and get an espresso.
You could do that. I was looking at Kenny's LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my God, you have a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I'm like,
2 coffee companies.
Which is okay.
It's good coffee too.
Amazing.
I love coffee. I like coffee.
It's good coffee. Yeah.
But I can drink coffee all day, right?
Like I can do commercial drive coffee and I buy it. Yeah.
Like decaf. I don't know what decaf is. We have no decaf in the house.
No,
decaf's not allowed in the house.
Yeah.
Not allowed. Seriously. It's 10 o'clock at night. If Amelia and I are having a coffee, we have a coffee. That's it. Like we have a coffee. Like I don't fuck around this
we actually
decaf stuff.
So
and it's one of our best sellers in our brand. And I don't even like it. I don't want decaf in the house. No decaf.
So we don't even have a coffee maker. So I have an espresso maker that I make Americanos out of, but I don't have a coffee maker in the house.
That is coffee maker.
We
don't have a drip one either.
For us,
when our machine goes
come
down,
over and they go, oh, I don't want an espresso. Do you have a drip? I'm like, no. Do you want me to just run the espresso through the water a little bit longer? Or
I'll give you how bad we are. So this is why we can't have decaf, right? Because there's a hopper in it. We have to put beans in. So I'm not going to mix up beans like half a day decaf. So it's not going to happen.
Makes sense,
right? But when this machine goes down, and it has like twice, it's got to go on repairs for a month. We now have an auxiliary machine in the crawl space, not a drip, because we cannot stand drip coffee that way. So we have another automatic one. So when this puppy goes into repairs, we bring the other one up so that we can, because that's all we drink is espresso base.
You're a little fancier than me. I have an AeroPress as a backup. So
now we have another machine. Now we got one of those Nespressos too. She got it as a prize or some stupid thing. In a pinch, it's okay. It's better than that Keurig shit, right? So at least.
Oh, Keurig, I can't do it.
It's because it's not coffee.
Get an AeroPress, man. Dude, you've never had it? You've had AeroPress.
We go to school with a mocha even. Just get a normal mocha for the stovetop.
Yeah.
Get the aluminum so that you start losing the mind later on. It's all good. No worries.
Kenny, do you sell beans? Do you guys do your own beans?
Yeah.
Oh,
we don't procure beans. So we roast. We have a third party we have 2 lines. We have a line that we do here that's more artisanal. Okay. So that's commercial drive coffee. That one we have 5 SKUs of beans and 3 ground. Okay. Because there is a market for ground. The decaf happens to be ground. That one's more artisanal. That's one we really like. And we do it off flavors that we would have had if we were in Italy. So we put, it's a dark roast and people, oh my God, it doesn't taste strong. It's okay. So it's not burnt like Starbucks. Okay. So let's get the terminology right. It's a dark roast, but it's not burnt.
But the dark roast espresso is very good. I like it.
Because it's a nice mild,
my favorite.
It's sweet.
Yeah.
It's got a nice profile, nice crema, not crazy. It's just a nice blend. And then we have another line that we do out of Montreal that's more of a value play, but that's in beans as well.
Okay. I'm going to place an order. We do Pilot Coffee in Toronto. Mm-hmm. That's who we order from. But when I got pregnant, I had to cut back. So since then,
scary.
I know. Well, our team is Italian, and Bree and Oscar are Italian, and they literally have coffee at night, like, and they're totally fine.
That's it. You have an espresso at night, less caffeine, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's why you can have a latte. It's espresso based. It's less caffeine than drip, so you can actually have caffeinated and get off that shit of decaf. I mean, you're a mom. What are you sleeping for anyway? Like, who do you think you are as a mom sleeping? You're not allowed to sleep until you're 25.
Wait, how old is your daughter? Right?
I have a boy, and he's 2. He's 2.
2. Yeah. So
you're not sleeping,
maybe
whatever.
4 more years, and then you can sleep a little. Ish.
Sure.
Right?
Maybe.
Give or take.
You don't sleep. You don't. Even now, we got one's 25 that lives up north, working on the pipeline. The other's 24 and lives in the house with us. If they're out, if they're driving, like you still don't sleep. You're perpetually worried. Well, at least I am.
I don't know. I slept from. So I have a boy and 2 girls.
Yeah.
And I think I slept from when they were about 8 until they were 12.
Yeah.
And then I stopped sleeping again.
Yeah.
And
Why
now
did you
the
stop
youngest,
sleeping?
because when they hit 12, 13,
You start worrying,
14,
then they're
15,
out, and then they're doing.
now the boy is 19 and moving away to Ottawa. The middle is 15 and looks like she's really 19.
Acts like she's 27.
She's pretty conservative compared to her friends, so she wears more clothing than most of them.
Yeah.
And then I oh God, and then the youngest is 13 and she hasn't figured that out yet. So
thank God.
I'm worried now, but I'm worried about when she figures that out, right?
Yeah.
So
she just needs to go on TikTok.
She's an Insta girl.
Good.
She's an Insta
game
girl
over
and
on
a
TikTok.
YouTube girl,
Yeah,
but not a TikTok.
It's game over, because I keep thinking about it. So I'm 38, and I'm just like, if I grew up with TikTok and Instagram, and I started, we're a highly social company, so I go on social media every day. I just made a TikTok,
right.
And I was just like, if I did that, I don't, if your worth is coming from there, it's tough.
Yeah.
We already, as a woman, you already have all this got to lose the baby weight, whatever, got to look a certain way. Why are you working? Why is your husband on paternity leave? All these things. So
yeah,
it's
you can't just be, right? You just can't just go through it. Just be. You gotta have an explanation for everything you're doing or done or thinking of doing, because heaven forbid it should go against someone's protocols.
For sure. Well, I adore you guys. So I'm so happy you asked me. I listened to your Phil and Kenny barbecue, the barbecue sauce episode.
Our barbecue sauce, yeah.
I made my husband listen, who's also my co-founder, listen to it.
Sorry, Brian. Is that his name, Brian?
Brian, his name's
Sorry,
Brian.
Brian.
Sorry, Brian.
I was like, you guys in this part, pause, and then you guys are just rolling around laughing, and Phil's like, oh, let's make it worse, and you're like, no, let's hold it back and let's make it terrible. It was so amazing. It should be homework in school. It should be homework in college for someone starting a big business.
You can come on anytime. You talk like this.
You're welcome. You just
That's nice.
We'll just give you the link. You can come on anytime you like.
Okay, amazing.
It's the one we like doing too. You know why? Because most people just don't understand what this industry is like. And it's really hard. And there's a bunch of articles in this last week, because I know Sobeys has been all over, trying to say, maybe getting rid of listing fees and really trying to work with the vendor community, because the majors don't give a shit. They just grind you. You can't get price increases.
Yeah, it's really
well.
tough.
How can you not get a price increase when every single one of our components is going up in price? Coffee is going to go up probably 10% this year. By the time you get to my side, so a bag that's $13 really is going to be 15 or 16 by the end of the year.
But come on, is commercial drive coffee going up? What the heck, man?
Well, most likely our costs are going to go up.
Jeez,
Someone's got to pay for it.
I'm going to go on and order a bunch now. That's what I'm going to do.
She's going to talk to the owner, so maybe we can hook you up.
I've been friends with the owner for a long time.
Even the owner buys it.
I'm not getting any hookups here.
Even the owner buys it. I go to the warehouse, I buy it. I have to actually pay for this shit. What kind of perk is that?
Okay, wait. So we should do some intros.
Yes.
We have hopefully I get this right. We have Neha Charnalia. Is that right?
So it's Neha.
Neha. I'm sorry.
No, okay, but you got my last name right.
Neha Charnalia.
This
was SwitchGrocery. And we met Neha through Clearbank, or Clearco, I guess they're called now. But we just met on a panel, and we hit it off. Kenny and I were there to kind of be ourselves, our retail knucklehead selves, and we kind of like got to talk to a bunch of brand or retailer owners, what Clearco would call founders. That always throws me a little, right?
Which the terminology doesn't work.
Yeah, because I come from tech startup, so I understand founders to be like tech startup people, but I don't see why brand and retail startup people can't be called founders. Anyway, I think that's a me thing. Anyway, but so we met Neha there, and we hit it off, and Neha runs SwitchGrocery, which you'll hear about in a second because we'll get Neha to tell you about it. But we just thought she was this like wonderful person. We had a great time with you, hit it off, on the panel, and we want to hear your story and kind of find out more about you.
Amazing.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is this my turn to go and speak?
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So this
your
is
show.
the portion. So there was no prep. Like generally, we want to hear a little bit about you and how you got to where you are and what you do now and all that kind of stuff. However, you want to kind of pull that together or not pull it together, and we'll laugh our way through all of it.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk to both of you because it's so relevant. Like the things that we were talking about on that Clearco panel, it's so pricing and digital marketing and like the costs and all of that, building a team, all of these things we were talking about, and product curation strategy. So I'm excited because I think that so many, even of our own suppliers, can get so much value from listening to both of you.
That was nice. Thank you.
Awesome.
So I will. I can.
Oh, we'll take it.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Because we'll just keep talking anyway. Just so you know, for the first year and a half, I think it was only me and him. Because our wives don't listen to it. We had a couple friends. We had one, really, Phil and I basically, I think we just phoned each other. It was basically like, hey, how you doing? What's going on? And that was it.
It's kind of what we do. But you know what? So I was on YouTube today. When I wasn't, I've spent the whole day, like Kenny and I literally have spent the whole day together. So this is like episode 25 today, I think. But
I think
so.
But
like
what's
recording
really funny,
episodes?
No, not at all.
Things.
Not
But
at all.
it was to the point where I phoned him every hour because why not?
Yeah.
We were on since 7 o'clock my time this morning.
Right.
I mean, whatever. The whole day
Love
I've had
it.
this.
But it was funny because in the middle of some of that, like I was on YouTube and one of our we don't have that many episodes on YouTube because it didn't work very well. We realized that really nobody wants to see these faces. But like a couple of old episodes popped up on me. It was kind of funny, actually.
That's nice.
Yeah,
we have the face for radio.
That's
definitely.
Nice.
I mean, and I think you've covered so many themes on the podcast. I saw you have a CPA/CA. So fun fact, I'm also CPA/CA, which is insane.
Oh,
no
so I'm an accountant turned food founder, which is
that's awesome. That's awesome.
That's an interesting combination because as you, I think kind of we're alluding to in the podcast, like sometimes to be a founder, you got to forget about the money because there's no money for like 3 years. Let's be real.
Grocery, it's you're a CPA and you went into grocery. Okay.
Yeah, like guys,
bizarre...
I thought.
Okay, tell us how that happened first before you go. This is a story because if you're a CPA, because we're both married to CPAs, right?
Yeah.
So you guys have brains in your head. How the hell do you go from CPA to going into grocery? Seriously.
So so before you tell that, I'm going to give you one episode you should listen to because we had an episode with a lady named Sarah Brazier who moved from big CPG in Ontario, like brand manager, director brand, making 6 digits. She moved to a Newfoundland town of 50 people to start a chocolate business. So like CPA opens grocery store.
Same.
To us, it's like, wait, whoa.
That's a story. What the hell are you thinking?
So that's why we're like, whoa, hang on a second. What's
it's almost like I'm almost tearing up because it's funny tears because I'm like, why did I do this, you guys? What am I doing?
So tell us, what happened? So you're sitting in an office one day. What'd you do?
There were so many vacations before. The student loans were paid off. Like it was a nice life. I was living the DINK, double income, no kids with Doc. Like it's great.
Right.
because I was, to be honest, I had no clue. Who starts in the food business having any clue? Like nobody starts having a clue. If I had you at this podcast round and listened to that episode, I would have probably, to be honest, thought twice. But I just went into it with like a bit of a dream and being an underdog and being just like, well, this isn't fair that, you know, I mean, this is how it really started. I went kind of low carb, grain free, and that was helping my health. And then I was just like, there's not a lot of products. This is before keto and paleo and all of that was the sexy in thing. So this is like 5 years ago. And I went to a small course at Food Starter. Do you guys know Food Starter? It was, it's now owned by like Arlene Dickinson's. It's called District Ventures Kitchen in Toronto. It's an incubator. So I show up there. I was just like, it was like a $15 ticket to how to start a food business. So I'm like, this is exciting. Maybe I'll like make cauliflower pizza crusts or sweet potato pizza crusts or something like that.
Those sound yummy, actually.
Sounds good.
Do you make those? No, not yet. Not yet.
So for those listening, Kenny's already laughing because he knows where this goes. Because you're like, I have a dream. This is fun.
It's awesome.
And yeah, it's great. And then there was a 100-page PowerPoint delivered by somebody about manufacturing your product, like qualities to get it to shelf stable.
Yeah.
And then the 75 PowerPoint slides were dedicated to distribution, getting it to retail. So at the end of that class, luckily, after I'd introduced myself, I went up and she looked at me, the person who was teaching class, looked at me and said, took pity and said, look, I don't think you're a food scientist. And I'm like, no. And she said, you said you're an accountant. And I said, yeah. And she said, do you cook well? Like, are you a good cook? And I'm like, no. So
it makes sense you're going into food. Like the story's so linear.
So she's like, I just, I don't know I don't think you should make a food product. So I came home and my husband and I were sitting there. We're like, oh man, this sucks.
Screw you, lady. I'm going to do it. Watch me do this.
But then I looked at him and I'm like, can I swear on this podcast?
You do whatever you want.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
So I was like, fuck it. If it's 75 slides to even explain how to get your product out there, what if I can't make anything, but I can sell? So why don't I just buy food from like smaller, mid-size, these amazing people that I've met at this incubator and sell them? So that's what we did.
That's great.
It's not illogical.
Awesome.
I mean, the thing is, you went from 100 slides, took 75 slides out that were depressing. So now it's only a 25 slide presentation. Not that bad.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, it's still a bizarre leap because now that's great. You don't manufacture food, so you chose to go into retail.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, seriously? That's another seriously. I mean, you pick the one. I'm going to go into the food business. Okay. Seriously? Okay. She doesn't do that. You're going to go into the retail of the food business. Oh, really? Seriously? Now, and I'm hoping we never would have discouraged you. What we would have probably at least hopefully got to you is said, listen, this is a cool thing because we both love food and we love the industry.
Right.
But understand the barriers and the roadblocks that you're going to hit. And hopefully what you can do is just slide around and move around them. Some you got no choice. You just have to plow through, but it's a cool industry. I mean, I still don't understand why you chose. So give me the retail. Why retail? I understand this now. You're thinking, I don't have to manufacture. Someone else will do that. So I'll go and sell
That's my strength. Hopefully.
Right. But, you didn't have a place at that point. Like you didn't have a store, online and or physical. Had you ever done retail before?
No.
Which is probably why you went into retail, because unless you come from retail, you never go back into retail.
and this is what I'm saying. You're right, because
a tough industry.
It is a really tough industry, but also, you kind of have this goal in your mind. You're like, I'm going to have $100,000. Okay. This was this number I chose. Now, $100,000 in sales as an online retailer gives you zero in the bank. Right. And I always I like to say, I mean, for me, and I like to say this, like now I've had these two realizations. Number one, either a customer is going to come and try you for the first time and never come again.
Right.
Or they're going to come and try you, come back and then take breaks because tastes change. Right. Yep. That's totally normal. I'll have the same wrap for a week and then I'm like, I won't touch it for 2 months. Tastes change. So there's always this cost that you have, which is what we spend on ads, but there's always this constant cost of like, how do we get new people to get to know about SwitchGrocery? How do we reach them? Where are they? It's a grind, you guys, you know this, but it is a grind. I will say one thing though, and this sounds so like new age now, but it's changed my life. Like it really has. I love the industry.
Hard not to. It is a fun industry.
Oh my gosh.
Are you kidding me? It's such a fun industry. Like look at the two of you. Like
yeah, it's a blast, right? I mean, we've been doing it for 40 years.
A long time. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to make Phil and Kenny's barbecue sauces and just take it.
Oh no, we don't want to go to retail. We know what it's like. We're like, we don't want to manufacture. We'll take someone else's barbecue.
We talk to each other and talk ourselves out of it.
Yeah, we talk ourselves out of it.
And you know what? I found accounting, to be honest, like why do I say to be honest? Because I'm always honest. But when I was at Ernst & Young, which is where I worked for 10 years, I had great mentors, and they always taught me to believe in myself. They were the kind of people who would pull me into a room and say, after a meeting, and say, do you know you fucked up? And I was like, oh, okay. And then they would like break it down for me. Yeah. And I would never see that on a performance review. Like it was fixed. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even know. And cool, I'll do that. And they were like, do you even know your audience? Like an example is, in the food industry, you always have to be like, who are you talking to? Who's your supplier? Like one time I sent a deck. This is my first mistake. We could do a whole podcast episode. Like I was thinking about sending you guys an email about my 10 mistakes, which to list, I created a PowerPoint deck and overwhelmed small suppliers with a deck on how to list with me. I launched in fucking United States within 1.5 years because I thought we would be like, oh, we're at like 100K, yay, 200. Let's just go into a brand new market. Feels like literally covering his face.
Yeah.
I decided.
I love you so much.
That's why I wanted you on the podcast.
Like I decided to hire. I got pregnant and I literally saw the test and I was like, oh my God, this is not conducive with having a business. So I must hire. Are you guys ready for this? I must hire 5 people to just like make content.
Oh, you're a beauty.
Right? I just must hire 5 people. We don't have enough orders to pack, like to make a full-time job, but I must give a full-time job to someone in case our orders go up. Right. Like I did it all, right? I literally did
It's funny. And you're an accountant. I mean, typically those mistakes are reserved for most entrepreneurs are just financially inept, right? They really are. I mean, not to be mean. It's not their gift. Their gift is vision. Their gift is ideas. It's ethereal. And accountants are typically, because again, we're married to 2 of them, double lined columns, heaven forbid you move something over, lose a penny, spend 17 days trying to find the penny. Most of us would just say, fucking put a penny from your pocket and call it a day. Move on. Get off the stupid spreadsheet. Who cares?
I completely disagree with you. Because you both are married to accountants. You would not have chosen them if they weren't visionaries, if they weren't creative, if they weren't like, you're both like looking, thinking, but
we didn't choose them. They chose us, and they told us that. They chose
I'm kind
us.
of we're just hanging on for dear life.
But I'm telling you, I think it's a myth that accountants are like. I think
they don't have to be like a true. My wife, I get in these arguments too. I said a true CPA should be like the commercials when they talk about CPAs. A true CPA should be that person who should be able to go in and really explain things to you so that you can get to your vision, because they can see the path you need to get there. And the path needs to be a financial path. The ideas are great, but ideas don't make businesses. Ideas are ideas. You need a business behind it. So typically, you're right. To some degree, they have to also be able to go on a creative path and not be so, I mean, we pick on accountants all the time, so double lined and columned, right? You have to be able to read what a number is.
But the net effect too is because with accountants, the scales have to balance, right? Like everything needs to balance. And that's usually where, like, my wife makes me crazy, right? Because I am like that too. Because I like, we're both creative types, right? So she paints on the side. I do all these other creative things. But the thing is like when I get the big ideas, she's always the one that goes, okay, wait, that's great. But where's the other side of it? I'm always like, stop
Cares?
asking me where's the other
Yeah.
side. Who cares? We'll figure it out. And she's always like,
yeah, that's the boring
"Uh,
side. First off, that's also the negative
okay.
side. So who cares about that side?
Okay, there's a net effect here. Like, are you balancing? I'm like, who's balancing? We don't need to be balanced. Let's just go, right? And she'd be like, okay. I'm like,
She said, I'll come along for the ride.
Exactly.
I would say,
No, she'll come along to bail me out when I get
Yeah.
to the other end of this, right? That's usually what happens. So, yeah.
I love that.
Have we told anybody what you do yet? Have we gone to that? Like, I think
We have not. We have not.
Like we're 26
Tell
minutes
us-
into this. Do you want to
tell
tell? Do you want to let
us,
people at least know who we're talking? Like they know
Yeah.
who now, and
Yeah.
they got some, but I don't think we finished the story.
Yeah,
Does anybody know what you're
so
actually
you're
doing?
a retailer.
Yeah. So
Right?
we're an online retailer,
Mhm.
www.switchgrocery.com. And I sort of say that we're lucky to have two missions. One is what we've talked about, which is the difficulty that small brands face in getting to customers. That's really where we come in. And we have a niche, and our niche is low carb and grain-free foods, or grain-free, low carb or grain-free food. And we carry, after my last conversation, a few brands per category, not one.
Feel bent, eh?
We bent. We're starting to bend.
No,
And-
she didn't bend. She stuck to her vision.
I did.
It's different. It's different.
Good.
Yeah. And at the end of it, we always say that there's something special about every brand we work with. And that could be, obviously, they all have to be delicious. I always say, like, when you leave a
For sure.
wedding, that's
It's
the only
food.
thing, right? You're just
Yeah.
like, how's the food? Everything else, forget it. Father-daughter
Yeah.
dance, nobody cares.
Yeah.
The food's got to be good. So it's got to be delicious, but there's also something like really unique about the brands we carry. I can't pick one. They're all my favorite. Still
But that's
my
okay though. But that's good. That's the idea of it. Because food,
Yeah.
you're right. I mean, I think we're from cultures that are, I mean, our whole worlds are food based. I mean, really, I
Right.
don't know
Yeah.
what else we talk about outside of food. Everything's
100%.
graded on food. You go to someone's house, what's the first thing you do when you get out of the car? Okay, how was the food? Oh, the dinner. Who cares what the conversation? Like, who cares if you like them? If the food was a shit, it really doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
And the second, and probably I always put this as first, but because this was a food podcast, I talked about the suppliers, is our customers. So it took me 3 years to hone in on this piece, which is who are we to our customers? And we meet our customers where they are. So and what that means is some of our customers are, let's say, struggling with weight loss. Some of them have type 2 diabetes. I had gestational diabetes in pregnancy. So I had a firsthand look at what it takes to like watch my numbers and like prick my fingers all day. That wasn't fun, but it put me in my customer's shoes. And I think what we do different from other retailers are like, we're like tight with our customers.
It's awesome.
And like, we're just tight. And I love that because the first 500 orders, until Brian actually was like, you need to stop this, I wrote handwritten thank you cards with every $20 order to $100 order to our customers. Many of them still shop with us. Like I have like a tag in Shopify that now I've created called Instagram OG VIPs, because that's who they are to me.
Really? That's cool.
And that's, we've had events with them. I don't like saying them because it's just like they're people. I know their names. I know their kids' names.
Friends.
They're friends. They have become friends, and some of them know, to be like, again, I'm saying to be honest, but some of them know more. I had this thing before this podcast. I was like, wrote the words down I can't say, which is like, but now I think I need to write down to be honest, because sometimes when you listen to someone and everyone just says like all the time. I digress. So coming back,
It's okay. We do that all the time. It's all good.
But we're highly social. We started on Instagram. I still can't believe that there's platforms that you could just start for free. Like, it's insane to me that you can start a business just tomorrow. We started on Instagram, and now we're everywhere, like LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter. We have a Facebook group of 1,700 of our customers.
Wow.
So we often like post there of like, help us like pick a specific product or something like that. It's
highly engaged. Like, are they like, is it a really engaged 1,700? Like, it sounds like the way you're describing it, your customers are really like, they're probably in your grill if you're doing something like a product maybe offside, or a product isn't what it should be. Like, I'm assuming they're on you, right? Pretty fast.
Yeah, 100%. And you do see it in the numbers too, right? Like sometimes we do a
Mhm.
launch and it just won't hit. Or it's funny. Sometimes people will say, bring this on, bring this on, bring this on. We'll bring it on, and then they don't buy.
And you're like, come on, where are
So,
you guys?
yes,
You said
so I
bring it.
have-
Like, what the
So I
hell?
have
Yeah.
So I have realized now that like people also don't know what they want, right?
Welcome to retail.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't know what they
That's
want.
retail's problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they don't know what they want, and I don't know what they want. So we just have to somehow try things,
Yeah.
basically.
Which is sometimes why you have to be the one, you know what? You basically
You're
have
gonna
to
tell them
sometimes
what they
you
want.
tell them what they want.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You're in the game. You're the one that's on the hunt. You're meeting these people. And quite frankly, if I like you and I buy from you, I'm going to end up trusting you.
Yep.
So if you pick it up, I'm going to have to assume that if Neha did it, you know what? Why? Because it's probably a really good company. They're nice people, which I like. That's awesome. The food we know is going to be good because she's told us a million times and she's proven it. So at that point, it's, you know, that's why I'm going to come to you, because at least I know the risk is minimal that I'm not going to like it. It can happen, obviously. Just taste or taste, but
Yeah.
you're not going to put
cilantro
duds
lime crema. Yeah. Following.
on. Yeah.
I'm
You're
on
right,
your
right?
Instagram if you don't know. I'm 16,000 followers, Kenny? On Instagram. It's crazy.
How many
16,000.
for a grocer?
Yeah, 16,000.
Jesus.
Is
And you're
that
an online grocery.
No, that's great.
That's a
That's
lot.
great. Really, it's great.
Shit, there's established grocers that, you know, like bricks and mortar and online and been around 100 years. That if you look at how many doors they have in the customer count, proportionately, you're like,
But their
huge.
social media looks like it's 100 years old too. So
or
She
not,
is
yeah,
good.
exactly. That's a
Yes.
lot.
just saying. It's awesome.
Okay, see, not this. I hate when you do this. Why do you always got to distract and
God.
go online? Because then I have to, because I
I'm
hate that. I've
shopping
never,
already.
because it pisses me off because
You
he
know
does
what
this.
she has on sale right now? Like
No, because you know why? Because I'm
trying.
trying not to go online. I'm trying to be nice and follow this. Now you're going to make me go online.
Listen, I
doing
have
Christmas
questions. So
in July right now?
I know. I don't like that title. I wish you just had a sale, but
Got it.
I'm not gonna get distracted by that.
Ooh, I want to hear more, but continue.
So do I now. What could go with that one?
Okay.
Yeah,
look,
you can't
look,
drop that, Phil.
Okay, look.
I wouldn't have gone with that. But let's
Christmas.
move on.
Christmas is in December. Black
Okay.
Friday is Black Friday. If we have a sale in July, we can have a sale in July. Like, this is not directed at you. Like, lots of retailers are doing this, and I'm like, consumers know when shit is on sale. Consumers love when shit is on sale. Like,
Right.
I'm the king of not buying things at full price, right? I don't like to buy things at full price. I never do. So if you have a big sale in July, I'm coming. So like Christmas in July is weird to me. I don't get it. Like, it's like we don't understand that we can shop other seasons, but consumers understand that. That's not you. I
think it would
like
do
lots
better-
of retailers are doing this. It's making me crazy.
I know. I think that. So here's the thing. We were going to do July dedicated to Canadian brands, which again, this is a problem that we carry U.S. and Canadian brands.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of it. I think we talked about this on the call, but we have our business model is that we have exclusives with our U.S. suppliers.
Right.
So we also, to some extent, distribute their products.
Mhm.
People come for the U.S. brands. Like, you know, I think it's hard as a Canadian supplier to get out there and really build your brand. So what happens is people will generally come for the U.S. brands, but then they discover Canadian brands in our store. So July, Phil, was going to be our month where we showcase Canadian brands. But
I love that.
once the unmarked graves were found, we were going to launch it on July 1st. That became, we just were like, hey, we can't
Yeah.
celebrate Canada.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
we went on the hunt.
Yeah.
We're like, let's find an
Yeah.
Indigenous food brand.
Yeah.
Well, we're still looking. So if someone, please call me, find me on LinkedIn and send me a message.
Send me a note later.
Okay.
Because there was a couple guys out here that were doing salmon jerkies and things, like a couple of the
cool.
nations in BC that were doing
Okay.
it years
I
ago.
would
I don't know
love
if they're
that.
still doing it, and I think they might even do candied salmons and things like that, which obviously fit into your keto world.
Mhm.
I mean, outside of the candy part, which is probably sugar, but whatever. It's
Yeah.
salmon. It's high protein.
Yeah. So anyway, so we had to do a change, and that was the change. And I hate Black Friday in July. I don't like that. But we are communicating to our customers that we're celebrating our Canadian brands.
We carry a lot of new
Yeah,
stuff.
and I don't think like you're not. There are lots of retailers here. I just think we like consumers understand sales, right?
Yeah,
Like so
and
Yeah.
some are tough for food, you guys. Like our suppliers are really struggling right now, and with the iOS changes too, you know, people are struggling to get their companies
to
out
be
there.
able to get their message out and everything. Yeah,
So
We carry a lot of cool stuff though.
thank you.
Now,
Thank
because now I'm distracted too, right? Because I
Look,
don't want
she's
to be
got
alone.
like the okazo stuff, like the
yeah,
chili
this is actually
miso.
there's some pretty
Yes.
cool stuff here.
Oh.
Yes. We also have like Blank Slate Kitchen, which is another small company, and that has that's like a Chinese, you know, that when you go to a Chinese restaurant and then there's the chili oil in the middle of the table. That's the chili oil. I needed
no
that
way.
during the pandemic. I'm
That's
like,
so
I need
awesome.
I love that stuff too.
And this, I've seen Fatso before. Is Fatso any good?
Yeah,
I
it's
guess it is because you carry it.
Vancouver, and
Okay.
Fatso's a very interesting brand because
Mhm.
when we started carrying them, this is what we're talking about on the call. We started carrying them; they were only listed at a few places, but now they're everywhere. They're in Save On Foods and you know, many other retailers, and we chose to continue to carry them because they complement our other products. We like their product. Yeah, so that's like it's not always like, oh, you just have to be a small brand, you know, and you have to not be found somewhere else. If it complements our products, we keep it, and we really like the owner, Jill. She's doing good things. Plus,
Let me know if you ever want to do your own brand. Got contacts in that space too,
yes,
and they would probably do lower runs. So if you wanted to do
yes.
Neha's, almonds.
This is an
cashew-
audio-only
Yes.
podcast, but if you
Hazelnuts.
can see Neha's face right now,
I know.
This is
So there's possibilities in
This
that
is
if you really wanted to do
this
your
is
own
like my
brands.
dream. This is my dream. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do have a contact, and they've done. Yeah, they could do it.
Okay, I'll call you.
Yeah,
Do you
that's
see
fine.
that face? We're gonna have to post this picture. That's the
That was
eye
what-
of a founder.
that's what you should have
I
taken.
mean,
That's the eye of a founder. Like
Yeah.
I like on audio, there's maybe a perceptible moment or not, but there's just this moment
Yeah.
where she's like with us, and then she's not,
Yeah,
and then she's back. But in that moment, it was like,
Yeah.
I see it. Okay, wait, there are people here. I need to come back.
It's just, I mean, having something with SwitchGrocery on it, which by the way, our logo was designed by a student from Waterloo who her and I got together on a weekend and put everything
Yeah.
together, and it's
Awesome.
still our logo.
Awesome.
But having something with that it would mean a lot. And Switch means so many things to me, right? Like it's what the premise is switching the way you shop
right.
and switching the way you eat, and which
Mhm.
changes your whole life.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah. So I've always thought about having our own product.
Yeah, if you want to dabble into that space, I mean, it's definitely doable,
Yes.
right? And and the MOQs I don't think would be outrageous. I mean, you'd have to commit, but again, you just you don't with people that we typically know, you can dip your toe in. You don't have to dive head first and pray there's no rocks.
Yeah.
Like you can take a chance, but be cautious.
I will.
So anyway, we can talk about that if you want. Yeah, because you can do some. There are ways, and in some ways, like what I'm assuming you've probably learned this is that it's tough to remain an exclusive anything once things start to grow, because what happens? People start to grow. People talk about it. Another buyer sees it, phones a manufacturer. Manufacturers sitting there thinking like, I can't not take a Longo's call or a Sobeys call or a Loblaws call. I have to take the call. So no matter what I promised you, I may have to do this. And that's where we sort of talked to you that day, is that you may have to be open-minded and say, yeah, maybe I can carry 2 or 3 things in the category. And you know why? Because my customers will like it. Now, don't go crazy, but you can bend and move, and exclusivity is nice, but you may have to give up on sometimes on some of that. But one thing you can control is your brand. So if you did choose on some of these products I'm looking at, a lot of the stuff is not hard to knock off and do yourself.
Yes.
And knockoff's not a great word, but that's the word in the industry. They're knocking it off, right? I mean, you're not knocking off Fatso. Fatso knocked off Adams and other brands. I mean, it's not like it was an original, like, oh my God, it's a peanut butter. It is what it is.
So wait,
interesting.
before you guys go too far down the white label, private label space, because I can totally see you like both wandering down that path. You're already gravitating
just talking,
that way.
just chatting, Phil. Just a little chat.
I got it.
But just a little chit chat.
I want to round out a little bit because now the listener knows. Look, you're online, but like when we were on the panel, you shared some very specific things about like how you choose brands, what your strategic thoughts were around categories and how you do things. I think like one, if we have brands that need, that want to be in retailers, it'll be something that, you'd like. So this would be a great time for you to share some of that because they would want to know that. So if they do reach out to you and say, hey, Neha, we want to get in, you can say, did you listen to the podcast? Like, I have criteria. It's the things that makes buyers crazy, right? Because buyers say things, we go, look, I want to do this. I want to do this. And then they go, great, I have a pair of plaid socks that fit. And you're like, I didn't say plaid. I just said I need natural. I need I need food. Why are you trying to sell me socks? Right? Like what the do you want to share some of that? Like what your kind of thoughts are around how you build product, how you pick products for Switch, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say all of our brands, and we talked about the part of them being special, but I'd say the first thing has to be low carb or grain free. And that's tough because, can we bend for oats? And, there's a lot of oat products. Could we bend there? Right now we don't. And, unless it's an oat milk, we don't, because if you could go to well.ca, you could go to Amazon, you could go to Loblaws, you can go to Sobeys and find that assortment of products. That is just not where we are. And primarily also that's the way we eat at home. So we don't sell anything we don't eat. So our first process is we always try it. And I always say, even like I'm friends with some of the buyers at some of the independents. Mm-hmm. And they always say that if it tastes good, like I can sell it and I can convince someone to list it. So I think the first one is it has to taste good, which you would be surprised, Phil. There's products that are sent to us that don't taste good.
I'm not surprised at all.
Like I literally eat them and it feels so bad.
What do you say to them? I mean, because it's subjective. Taste is subjective.
Yeah.
Taste is subjective. Yes. So in fairness,
I've been said, I'm sure Kenny's ahead of me on this, but I have been sent so many things that just like a couple of things that I was just like, couldn't even.
I was a food buyer, right?
Like put it in my mouth and it came right back out again. I was like, ugh. And then the thing is like, that breaks my heart, right? Is they come and they literally have that face. They go, so what'd you think? What'd you think? And you're like, am I the first person to try it? Or like,
is horrific something we can say to you without feeling offending you? Because that was like horrific.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear you guys say
I totally believe you.
Because I do like first I used to just buy samples to be like, I was going to say, to be honest, but I still place orders from, if I see a supplier, like I just placed an order yesterday, I actually don't tell them I'm testing their product because I'm just like, I don't want them to then follow up and say, did you like it? What's like, what? So I literally am like R&D, and Brian, unfortunately, Brian starts, my husband and co-founder starts like ordering a bunch of things because he's like, it's R&D, Neha, it's R&D, Neha, it's R&D. And like, okay, hon.
That's my favorite part of buying. Is the R&D part.
Yeah, well, it is R&D. Like in fairness, we're on your husband's side on this one. It is R&D.
Well,
literally kid in a candy store.
Yes, and the other thing is, we test everything. So, like for example, we just launched a low carb cereal. We actually went and bought every single low carb cereal. So, and tested them for like, and by testing I mean just taste them first. Of course, we look at the ingredients, but we're like, let's just taste all of these cereals. And that takes like a month. And then we'll even get some people on our team, we'll send them to taste everything. So taste is everything. I don't know how to give the feedback sometimes because I hate killing dreams. Like, and maybe I always think, hey, I didn't like it, but somebody else could like it. So fine. But there's actually a couple emails I need to get out because they're like, we sent you something, we haven't heard back. Those are going to be.
You can always ask them nicely. Sometimes, you know what, it just doesn't fit. It's not a direction we're going in at this moment.
Yeah. But then why'd you order it to try it? Why'd you say
you know why? Because sometimes, you know what? I just like to try different things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. Seriously, I like trying different things. I mean, it's a prerogative. It's in it, you know, it's a buyer's right to change his or her mind when they so choose.
Yeah.
So,
and I also think you've got to be able to sell it. So for us, it's really easy. It's like, I need to like it. And then I can go on Instagram and say, I like this. And that low carb grain free is, you know, that's our criteria. And then the third thing is the special, like, and I think this is any brand going to anybody right now. Like, what are you doing that's different? There's so much competition. Like Penny said, everyone has a nut butter. Like, what's different about your nut butter? I don't really love the $1 of every box sold goes somewhere. Like, I'm not a fan of that type of branding, because even like on July 1st, couple of stores, and sorry if some of my friends are listening and in the industry and they did this. But, you know, there was this whole thing about, hey, like $1 of everything you buy on July 1st will go to, you know, Indigenous schools, you know, First Nations, communities. And I was just like, that's icky. Like, if I want to donate to somebody, I'll just donate to somebody. I don't need your money. I don't need you to buy something from me to donate. Like, I'll just donate. So anyway, I brought that up because I see a lot of brands right now doing.
They're not really a retailer yet. That's your problem. See, that's what retailers do. Retailers, the whole point of retail is that I sign checks for millions of dollars, that it's not my money.
Yes. And then I get the tax
money. Yes.
I didn't know this.
And I also get in the newspaper or on a blog or something. So there's reasons why you do that.
Anyway, so that's something. Okay, maybe other retailers will like this, but this is not.
It's really your thing. I'm kind of with you. I think you do whatever you feel like doing. I like your vision and what you stick to more than the fact if you donate to anybody. I don't care who you donate to. You can donate to diabetes. You can donate to Indian Affairs. You could donate to immigration, children's NICU wards. Do whatever you want. It's your money. I don't care what you donate to.
I think
I'd rather you have a mission and stay to it. Like, I like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I would rather you spent more time, if this is me as a consumer, and finding, like, if you want to take that donated money, find another couple lines that I could buy, because maybe I have a real problem with, like you said, weight gain or diabetes, and I want some good foods and I just don't know where to find them. Yeah. And again, if I trust you, I'd rather you do that for me. So I'd rather, instead of donating, I'd rather you go and find me some stuff to do or eat.
It's so funny you say that, Kenny, because I completely agree. And I say a lot of the time that I don't want to do things like, you know, on like like there's Blackout Tuesday and people posted black screens. And I was like, I don't need to do something for the hell of doing it. And we got a lot of hell, like, why aren't you posting black screen? And I'm like, just because I post a black screen doesn't mean that
doesn't mean anything. That's because cancel culture dictates that you do that because you don't want to get canceled. Again, I think we should do things because it's the right thing for us to do for ourselves. And I think you should do that. But the reason people do that, because you don't want to be the one. Like, a conversation like this is a potential where you lose 10 customers and we lose 10 listeners. Yeah. Because we didn't go on the bandwagon of everybody else is doing it, everybody else wants to do. And then you get canceled because you don't do it. And it's not because we're all bad people. It's just I do donate a lot of money to different things. I just don't need to broadcast it.
Yeah.
Same.
And I donate where I want to donate. And I don't want to be pressured into donating because of a societal move at any given time.
Yeah. And
even though they might be right, and I'm fine with it, no issue. Donate away.
And I bring this up because we have had a couple of brands recently that have said, come to us with this pitch. And it's, again, the same thing of like, if your product doesn't taste good, if it's not low carb, grain free, if there's not something that you're doing, whether it's, you know, you can pick, you can be like, I have 90% post-consumer recycled packaging.
Nice.
It's compostable, all of these things. Or, you know, I am the only person who's blended 2 cuisines together. You know, then just having a donation portion is not going to.
It doesn't do it for me either. I mean, I want everything else and then and that.
Yes.
If that's the thing, but it's not or that. I'm not. All the other things are much more important to me as a business person too.
Yeah.
And again, the more money I make means more money I can donate to whatever I feel like donating to.
For sure.
Right.
Yeah. Phil, you had something to add?
No, I'm in the same boat. It's a little bit. It's funny. So Kenny and I just had this experience where, working with somebody and then an agency that was working with that company really hadn't been doing a great job, right? And then at the end, they sensed the end was coming, and then at the very end, they showed up and went, "We're going to put the rock star that we have in the company on the business to, kind of like, come in and save the day," right? And we kind of, so part of the folks that we were listening to were like, "Oh, the rock star's coming. We should check this out." And Ken and I went, "It's too late, right?
Sent
like
it now?
you
Or
sent
was
them
the
now?
Rockstar I was a good customer, remember, a minute ago. Like, why didn't I have the Rockstar then?
Yeah.
Like, who did you give me before?
Yeah, and I guess where I'm going with that is I'm with you guys is, look, if this is something that fits with the brand and it fits with what you got to do, I don't have a problem with it because it fits. It's on brand. It's
You encourage it even
motivation.
at that point, maybe. It's good.
Yeah. Like, good for you. You're staying true to who you are. But if you're doing it because you think I'm going to be more interested in it,
Yes.
no, I just want you to, like, just show up and do the things you got to do.
Right.
Help me sell the product. I don't want to see dusty product on my shelf. I don't want people complaining that it tastes like
doesn't
shit,
taste good.
or the
Right.
packaging is bad, or any of the. If you do those things, I don't need to see all the other. To your points, right? Is you can do whatever you want. Like, I don't care. You can take all of your profit and give it away. Makes no difference to me, right? As long as you're making good product, I can sell good stuff.
Right.
I'm just as happy, right? So if that makes me a terrible person,
Well, in fairness, that's the problem you have today is that, honestly, the odds of us getting canceled by people is extremely high just because you didn't toe a line that seems to be popular at a given moment. And it's unfair because it's the whole point of us is to have different opinions, to do different things. None of us feel good about anything that's happened recently on a multitude of topics, specifically that one, because that one's just, it's fucking horrific.
It's really
I don't know what else to say to that. It's just horrific.
It's really terrible.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna buy things just because someone's donated, especially if the product's shite. I mean, it's not gonna happen.
Well,
man.
and I think the other thing is also July 1st is a really slow day, right? We all know that. Every holiday, nobody shops on Christmas.
Shops on those, exactly.
Nobody shops on July 1st. Nobody, our sales are already going down because we're coming into a long weekend. I don't know when this comes out, but we're going into the August long weekend and our sales are going to go trending downward. We know this. This is our 4th year in business. So that's what I didn't like, which was, we know people don't buy on July 1st.
Right.
So when you're doing a sale to support a cause on July 1st, like, it's, someone in the business is going to know that's also for sales, right?
Sure,
That's what didn't stick so well with me. But again, as you said, everyone can do what they want. And if it does benefit people, like I remember my RMT, my osteopath, he did free massage, services. And then he did free massage services and then donated, basically a portion, like everything that massage service would cost. So he did like double almost.
Oh.
He had people who were low income come to him, register with him. He knows them and gave them, made them feel better, and then took that money and also an equivalent, and then donated it to First Nations communities.
That's incredibly generous.
And then got a couple of other osteopaths he said together they did about $1,200. Amazing.
That's cool.
Everyone can do what they want if it benefits.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely. So looking at your lines, your brands, what's expansion? What's next? What are we going to add to this? Like, what do you because I'm trying to look at it. So, because ideally what you're trying to do as a retailer, and specifically I would assume in this area, is try to give me as robust a basket as I can. Like, I don't want to buy just crackers from you. I don't want to buy just spices. Like, I want to buy a pantry worth of stuff. So I noticed you've got some baking, like is there something here that you're missing? Is there something that you would like to see that you can't find? What do you do?
Yeah. I mean, cereal was a big category
that
we just launched, that we just chose and launched. But
what cereal did you launch?
Farm Girl.
Farm Girl.
It's a Canadian Toronto brand.
Yeah.
And It's a really good question, Kenny, because the biggest thing is we're not a retailer that carries like 10,000 SKUs. We're at about 250 SKUs, right?
Which is really light.
We keep our inventory investment manageable, I would say. And so the thing, and this is where I'm trying to balance, which is we can grow, like there's two ways we can grow. We either grow by like launching new brands,
right,
or we grow by finding new customers,
right,
for the brands we have,
right.
Like I'm leaning more towards the finding new customers at this moment. It's not that I'm not expanding, but I'm saying the categories we could launch would be like cooking oils and vinegars. And those were, because we compared, we're like, let's just go and look at some of the other online specialty stores and see what they carry. A lot of them carry staples. And so this is the crazy thing about our store. We don't carry staples. That's a good thing and also a bad thing. We don't carry almond flour, coconut flour. We don't carry at this point any cooking oils or vinegars. Are we trying to be your grocery store? We're not. We're just not. Right. We're trying to be that specialty, low carb, grain free items. A lot of our customers actually, like even in Ontario, about 70% of our customers are outside of the major cities, which is in Ontario, which is right. Because people in like Sudbury actually Sudbury has good options, but people up north are not going to have the same options as somebody
North
in Toronto.
Bay, Parry Sound.
Well, the problem is that the GTA is the GTA, and then you have the rest of the province.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
it's like Vancouver. Vancouver's Vancouver, and then the rest of it. It's hard for people outside of the city to get cool stuff because it's just hard to do, right?
Yeah.
It's doable, but it's hard.
Yeah, and so that's why we've gone the keto low carb route.
Right.
In terms of like, because that's the way I was eating and all of that. And our products were primarily going there. And I think what we need to do is round out a little bit more in terms of making sure that people who are plant-based know that we have really good plant-based products, making sure people who are dairy-free, actually in our blog section, I just did a 2-week dairy-free experiment. And I ended up writing all about it. And because it was actually a good experience. And I've ended up sticking kind of like 80% dairy-free even after. So, but I discovered after that there were a lot of people that reached out again on Instagram, Facebook, that they are dairy-free for various reasons. So I think where we need to go, and this is always a balance, Kenny, but it's like where we need to go is we need to go and find these new customers and say, we're here for you too. But as you know, it is hard to find them. And,
yeah, definitely. And you guys are a buy sell model, right? So like you actually own the inventory.
Yeah, we do.
And you're warehousing it where?
In the GTA, so at a fulfillment center.
Okay.
Short story, we were kicked out of our space. I was 4 days before my C-section. I wouldn't recommend that. Like I wouldn't recommend packing your space with a 6-week-old baby.
Yeah, not going to work out.
Not really recommended. But hold on. This is where the bright light is. We moved to a warehouse in November 2019. What happened in March 2020? A global pandemic.
Yeah.
And that warehouse was way more equipped with sanitizers, masks, resources
totally
to fulfill our orders.
No, good for you. So, you got lucky on that way. It was the right move anyway.
Yes.
It's do what you do best. You're good at hunting and finding cool stuff. Logistics is a whole different nightmare. And that's why it's someone else to do that for you.
Yeah. And if someone is making that decision right now, this was a very tough decision for me because we didn't have the sales to outsource. Like we were no, we weren't at that sales level yet. Yeah. And I talked to some of the other big US suppliers, some of my US suppliers that, are doing really well, like number one on Amazon US. And I asked them and I'm like, what do I do? And they literally said to me, Neha, trust yourself.
Yeah.
The sales will come, make the call, go to a fulfillment center. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, and the fulfillment center, we were at the lowest tier, the worst pricing. And we're like, oh my gosh. But the sales came because all of a sudden I wasn't packing anymore. Right. Like, And then I had to make
That's the stuff you weigh out. You're an accountant. Like all you have to do is sit down, you put it on paper. What's it costing me to do this?
Yeah,
How
but
much
I'm
could I be
also-
doing? What's the opportunity cost because I'm
Yeah.
packing?
I'm
I
also
get
an
it.
emotion. I'm also an emotional person.
Everybody
I
in
like
businesses.
I like touching the products. I like
get it.
you know, adding a sample. Like I liked that.
We all do. And that's why Phil and I would say get over that, because it's very difficult. You can't, you can't do all of it. So again, those are good learnings though. And that's what people need to understand, is that there's reasons you use other people, because they think about how much time did you spend packing and shipping?
But
Like
Can't get the time back.
It's like
3 days a week.
That's most of the week.
But it is choices though, right? Like this
for
is,
sure.
I think on the last, you were at the last panel, right? The last panel we talked about knowing where you want to go and then knowing what you want to be, right? Because the hardest moment is giving up that personal touch and thinking that you're not in touch with the business, right? Because it doesn't mean, because you have all sorts of other ways to be public facing, that in there somewhere you have to figure out like, how much personal touch do I want? And then what's the most important thing, right? So like Kenny and I think we spend a lot of time telling like founders this is the business needs you in other places, right? There are lots of people who can pack boxes. You could, in your spare time, write cards and they can stuff them for you. Like there's all sorts of ways around it, but it is at the end of the day, a choice, right? Like one of the brands I finished working with, she didn't want that, right? Like she thought she wanted to be, kind of a $5 million brand, but in fact, she was really happy being, 1.5 million, because she was in touch with every client, right? And that's what she wants, right? So at the end of the day, you go, no, like it's your business, right? It's what you want, right? But if you want to be big, then like
if you want to scale, you can't do it.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen.
It's hard, right? You got to find other ways to be personal, but not personal. Like. Yeah.
So
Personal
let me ask you a
ways.
question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, because this is one where people talk. This is the debate, right? You had Midday Squares on your podcast.
Yep.
Do you scale by not raising? So like by just, going at and reinvesting your profits, which you guys know the numbers.
Yep.
There's not a lot in the first 3 years. You spend everything on the business. You spend everything on the business. If you want to
news for you, you're already reinvesting it.
Right. And then, do you go raise? And then my second question to that is, you keep saying like, you need to know where you want to go. And people often ask this question. They're like, do you want to sell? Do you want to do this? Like, what do you want to do? And like, what if you don't, like, do you really need to know? Like when people are like, do you want to sell SwitchGrocery? I don't think so.
I don't think you need to know
doing.
those things.
No,
Neha,
you don't
but
need to know that.
I think one of the things you do need to know is, if you want to grow, you know this as well as I do, or both of us, all three of us know. If you want to grow, you maybe need, let's say, 20 more brands and $400,000 in inventory. Let's say that's the number, pretend, right? That's what you need.
Yeah.
So now you go back to the original question you had. Do you raise money or not? I don't know. What do you want to do?
Do I have enough money?
It's your money. Do you, okay. Or do you say to yourself, I want to have that, but I've got the patience. I'll wait 4 years to do that. Now you have to look at the marketplace. You have to look at other people and say, do I have 4 years? So, and Midday Squares could be like that, where they're thinking, listen, I think they were on the podcast saying, like Hershey or somebody was looking at them, whoever it was. But at that point you're thinking, well, time might be a little more precious now, because if a conglomerate's looking at this, that means if they're looking to buy, there's no reason they're not looking to make. So how much time do I have? So maybe I need to go raise money, right? And then I've got other people that don't want to raise the money because you know what? They don't care. They're happy with the growth they're getting, and they see where they want to go. And they because some of them are accountant based, they sort of do their projections and their runs, and they can kind of project when they'll finally start getting into the positive, where they can take some home and be happier, but also now reinvest in the business, and they can take that growth pattern. But again, it's really up to you. What do you want to do? I mean, I don't think the selling part is something you need to know as much as, if you want to scale, you cannot pack your own boxes. You have to get a third party logistics. You learn that. If you want to get to $10 million in sales, you're probably going to need 20 more brands. Well, 20 more brands might be in $500,000 in inventory. Do you want to finance that, or do you want someone else to finance that?
Yeah.
If you're risk tolerant,
how much control do you want to give up, right? So if you want to raise, you've got to figure out how much you want to give up, and then do you want
Is
to
it worth
do you
the
want another
equity to give
voice,
up?
right? Like you guys, you're a couple and you're co-founders, right? So right now you're the only two voices that really matter in the room, right? So if you want to raise, how much is it worth to have a third voice in the room with you? Is it $100,000, $200,000?
Yeah.
You know,
and again,
all of those things, right?
It's up to you. And maybe that's when the sale price comes in. I don't give a shit. I just want to sell. I know I need to get to $10 million in revenue because I can do a 2 times multiple or a 3 times multiple.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to do. Yeah. Light it up.
Or
that's why we always tell people, it's your choice.
Yeah. Or you just want to be the destination for people who are looking for, you know, keto or lifestyle products. Then you shape it differently, right? Like the questions you have to ask yourself then is, well, what does that mean, right? So what kinds of web traffic defines me as, you know, the definitive spot, right? Yeah. Like, you know, when does that happen, right? And so when you hit those numbers, do you know what I mean? Like, I think that's the stuff that really matters, whether you sell or not. I don't, like, you're an entrepreneur, you'll know the moment, right? Like you'll know the moment when you go, I'm done with this project and I'm ready to move on to something else, or I fucking love this thing and I'm never letting it go. Right. Yeah. Like, cause there are lots of retail businesses that have been handed, you know, like
handed down by generations.
You know, yeah. Right. Like we had, Alexa on, right? Alexa's family was like that, right? Like the dad ran the business and then the kids were in the business for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, so there are moments like that, but I'm not worried about when you sell. Like you're going to get there and then you'll know, or you won't, or you won't want to sell it, but you'll know, right? Like, not worried about that. Just worried about
the financing is a tough one though, right? Yeah. Because you either have to look at each other and you got to look at Brian and say, listen, you know what? We need $250,000. We don't have it, in cash, but I look at the walls here and I'm thinking, okay, the house is worth $1 million. I mean, we don't owe much anymore. I could do 10 or 250 on the house, but now your house is on the line. And there's people that make those choices every day, and some lose and they don't care. For some, they probably should never have done it because losing, you know, $1,000 kills them. Well, why would you put $250,000 of your house on the line then? I mean, you got to think those things through too, but that really depends on what you want to do. I sort of like your vision. I mean, it's me from an outsider. I like the fact that you're trying to fill a need and a void. Your protection maybe be more of what we talked about at the beginning. Maybe this is where it's Neha's nuts, Neha's cereals, Neha's whatever, or maybe that's your protection where you're controlling it in a different manner, where you're not at the mercy of other people picking your lines off, because at least those ones you own.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe that's a trick. I mean, that's that, but those are all choices you have to, This is why people ask you, like, what do you want to do? Yeah. Like, what's the goal?
Yeah. That's the question, right? What's the goal?
It is. I mean, right now it seems to be you want to fill a need. That's what it appears. For sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And make some money.
Yeah.
Because that's good too.
I think that's the hard part with any business. Like, this is the other thing that I was talking about with Brian tonight at dinner. I was just like, what do I talk to the guys about? And the big question was, like, we were looking at each other and we're like, business is not just the food business. It's so hard because you have to get people to fucking give you money to buy something from you. Like, you know, and you have to do it over and over again. And sometimes there's the pressure to be like, it's not working. So then you have to do something new, which costs money, and people's attention spans are getting shorter. People's loyalty switching. So like,
and they don't know what they want. So even when you tell them,
seriously,
like sometimes you tell them what they want, and they still don't know what they want, right? Like, oh, yeah. And you're like,
honestly,
I fucking bought that product. There's like $10,000 worth of inventory. That fucking buy it, because
but people don't know that.
I bought it because you said you wanted it. Like, what the hell, right? Like, yeah, that happens. That happens,
and that's why we used to do it. Like, when I was buying, like, the stores would call. Yeah. Well, we need this. I said, okay, why do you need that? Well, because everybody wants it. Okay, who's everybody? Mrs. Jones, right? So whatever, I don't, let Mrs. Jones go buy it somewhere else, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to buy it from Mrs. Jones, who's never going to come in to buy it. And there are no other Mrs. Joneses out there. Right. Otherwise it would be everywhere.
Yep. 100%.
We're at 10 after 11.
Oh, geez, we're late.
And honestly, I think we could talk to you all night.
We could do this again though too, right?
I joke not. I think we could do this all night. we would love it if like we're kind of like we're in a summer now. If you came back in the fall and told us what was going on with you and then
I'd love to hear
what
it.
trends you see, like all of those things, we would love it so much.
Love it.
Maybe give us a recap of Christmas in July, just to spite Phil a little bit. They're like, just tell them it's people do care.
The newsletter got us $4,000.
That's kind of a big deal. All right.
Yeah.
All right, you get a pass.
Santa on
Yeah,
with
you get a pass. Yeah,
and
it's like you know me or something. You appealed to the marketer in me. You said email marketing got you $4,000. I'm like,
yes, it did.
great.
And
You're done. You're out of
also
here.
not only that, it met my goal of introducing people to more Canadian brands. So
there you go.
Check. I'm snapping fingers.
Check, baby.
Right.
There you go.
I
Phil.
love
let's
talking
get
to
you
you
out of
guys.
here. When
Likewise.
where do people find you? Like all that
Personally
we'll post
and
it
in
the
business-wise, if you want,
episode.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Personally, best place, LinkedIn. I love
Okay.
it. Send me a message. Don't be like, let's connect and talk about our ideas and how they can delve. Nobody has time for that.
Don't be a dick about it. Just be
Please,
straight up.
Heard you on a podcast.
Yeah.
Buy stuff from you. Love you.
Yeah.
Do that.
Or if you're a brand and you're going to troll,
Yes.
like make sure that you listen because she gave you criteria. So don't fucking show up with plaid socks or anything like that.
Yeah.
She's
or,
not-
or something heavily carbed. Think it through, kids. Look at the webpage. Figure it out. But
it's the one thing that like pisses buyers off right off the get-go. So yeah.
Business LinkedIn for sure. Okay. And then otherwise Instagram and TikTok. Okay. Yeah, honestly,
and is it SwitchGrocery Canada on all of them? SwitchGrocery Canada.
It's at SwitchGrocery everywhere. So at SwitchGrocery on everywhere. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Twitter.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Man.
But if you are a small Canadian brand and you are keto friendly,
fit the criteria.
We'll dabble. We won't give more than that. Just focus on those words and that should be enough to get you going. Yeah. Then you might have something interesting here.
Yes, please call me because we're always looking for amazing Canadian brands. If you're in the US, we're looking for amazing US brands too. Our insurance says right now we can't carry anyone outside of the US and Canada, so sorry. But yes, I'm always looking for good brands. And if you're good peoples, you got to be good peoples.
Yeah,
awesome.
You gotta be good.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. We love it so much.
We'll bug you again probably in a couple months. We'll probably bug you for like October, November.
Don't be a stranger. You know where to find us.
Yeah.
Because you're very nice and you picked on Phil a little bit, we'll give you even a better time next time.
You know what? I like this. 10 o'clock was nice. My kids,
okay, then we can stay at 10 o'clock.
No more Mark Sterling, we gave Neha a premium time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We will not give Mark a premium time ever again.
Yeah.
Thank you. Don't stop what you guys are doing. Seriously.
Thank you.
You're a sweetheart.
Make it like required curriculum in university to listen to your podcast.
All the universities need.
Love it. Yeah.
Bye.
2 clowns. Bye.
Take care of yourself.
Bye.
Phil, stay on for a minute.
Yeah.
Bye.
Johnny. She's got a cool thing going.
She's amazing.
You know what? She's just got a cool again. I don't understand how these people just jump these. I mean, she was she was probably making decent coin.
Yeah.
You know,
but
pretty secure.
Record,
it's cool.
For the record, we don't doubt people. We actually were amazed by their stories. But
I love it.
Like, look, Sarah Brazier moved out there. We just wanted to verify that the story was real, right? Like, but it's amazing. Like you swim upstream, and these
still love her
happen,
story.
Right?
I repeat that story all the time. And just so you get it right, the town I don't think had 50. I think between the town and the island that they lived on 20 million miles away or across the bay was 50 in total.
No, I thought the town was 50.
We saw the pictures. There's like 2 houses on the hill there. There's nothing there. Can't have 50 people. Who's living there? Even her house only has 2 people in it.
I mean, like broadly the town. Like the town isn't that. Anyway,
there was nobody there. There's nobody there. There's like 3 people. If they got 10 homes, there's 20 people.
Oh my god!
Oh my god! It's unbelievable. Love that story.
We gotta get out of here. It's like an hour 15. Nobody's listening.
Okay. Nobody's listening to us anymore. Anyway, we've lost people hours ago. Oh, I've had enough of you today.
Amazing.
Anyway.
I love her.
I love her too. I think she's really good. I think she's got a cool story. And it's just pretty cool. I got to start thinking of brands for her.
Yeah.
Or private label. She could do her own house.
Yeah.
Get someone who
really
can
good.
handle low MOQs.
Yeah.
She could do it.
Yeah.
Protect herself too.
I'd like it. I'd like to see her. I mean, she's got the credibility for it, right?
She reminds me a little bit like
clearly.
Simrit, right? Like where they could, I mean, maybe who knows? Maybe Simrit could do something that's a little more protein based as opposed to the thing. I mean, again, just the connecting to those type of people is amazing, right?
Yeah.
Cool,
buddy.
Okay,
right.
I'm driving tomorrow.
Yeah.
So if you need me, I'll be in the car. But you can phone me. Just no big deal.
Otherwise, I'll talk to you. Go have a nice weekend, and then
we can't talk in the convertible anyway because we can't hear each other, right? So it's all road noise.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Okay,
my friend. We shall chat with you soon.
Yes. Take care.
Sounds good.
Bye, dude.
Ciao, bud. Bye.